It was a cold morning, November 9th, 2005. A small town called Robinson in Texas. The kind of place where everyone knows everyone and where nothing ever happens until that morning. A frantic 911 call shattered the silence. A woman was crying and screaming into the phone. Blood! There is blood everywhere! My husband has not moving. Just one call was enough to open the door to a tragedy that shook the entire community. This is the story of Darlene and Keith Gentry. Let's begin. Darlene was known around town as the Texas Beauty Queen, born on November 2, 1974. She was the middle of three daughters in a close-knit family. Everyone who knew her described her as quiet, disciplined, and full of life. Not only beautiful on the outside, but kind-hearted and beauty on the inside. After graduation from U High School in 1993, she attended Texas State Technical College in Waco. She first studied dental assisting, but later pursued nursing, her true passion. And it was during those college years she met the man who would change her life forever, Keith Gentry. Keith was born on September 2, 1974, in Waco. He grew up in Robinson, a town built on family and community values. He was quiet, polite, and came from a large, loving family. When Darlene met Keith, it was clear to everyone that something special was happening between them. They married soon after and built what looked like the perfect life. A beautiful home, 3 children, and a sense of stability everyone envied. They seemed like the picture of happiness. But behind closed doors, not everything was as perfect as it seemed. Then came that morning, November 9, 2005. At 6 a.m., Darlene made a panicked call to 911. Her voice trembled as she described the horrifying scene. The back door was wide open, and her husband Keith was lying in bed, covered in blood, barely breathing. She told dispatchers that some of Keith's guns were missing and that he was vomiting pink foam, a sign of severe trauma. She claimed she hadn't slept in the same bed that night, saying her youngest child, only 18 months old, had trouble sleeping, so she decided to stay in another room with the kids. When paramedics arrived, Keith was still alive, but just barely. He had been shot in the head and was unresponsive. He was rushed to Hillcrest Medical Center, placed on life support, but never regained consciousness. 2 days later, on November 11, he was pronounced dead. Police began investigating what had happened inside the Gentry home that night. Friends and family described the couple's life as stressful with financial struggles and rising tension between them. Naturally, investigators turned their attention to the only adult present that night, Darlene. She was brought in for questioning. She told the police that the evening of November 8 began normally. She had gone out for drinks and dinner with friends and returned home around 8:30 p.m. But when she came back, she said Keith was upset. He had found a restaurant receipt proof he thought of careless spending and giving their financial problems. It started another argument. Darlene claimed she left the house for a short drive to calm down, then returned, apologized, and tried to make peace. Keith went to bed, and she stayed with the kids in another room. She said briefly woke up around 5:15 a.m. when the dog barked, but didn't think much of it. When she finally got up around 6, she found the back door open, and Keith unresponsive in bed. Her story painted a scene of horror. An intruder breaking in, killing Keith, stealing gun, and disappearing without a trace. But something didn't add up. A trained nurse who didn't try to help her wounded husband, an open door with no signs of forced entry, missing guns, some of which were later found neatly arranged behind the house. That's really suspicious. So the detectives began to wonder, was the killer really stranger or someone much closer to home? Then came to the evidence. Latex gloves in the trash, gunpowder residue, and DNA belonging only to Darlene and Keith. And one more thing, a $750,000 life insurance policy. That was enough for investigators to arrest Darlene, though the murder weapon hadn't been found. She was later released on bail, but the case was far from over. After her release, Darlene bought a piece of land, and one that had a pond. She asked the property owner to fill the pond with water. Suspicious, he called the police. A detailed search followed, and at the bottom of the point, investigators found the murder weapon, the same caliber, the same rifle used to kill Keith. To confirm their suspicions, police set a trap. They told Doreen the point would be drained soon. The next day, she showed up at the site with a fishing pole, trying to retrieve the weapon herself. Cameras captured all. In February 2007, Darlene Gentry stood trial. Within 5 days, the jury found her guilty of murder. Her sentence, 60 years in prison. Her motive, money and freedom. She wanted a new life, but she forgot one truth. No matter how deep you try to bury it, the truth always rises to the surface. Today, Darlene Gentry spends her days behind bars, haunted by the reflection of what she has done. And one question still remains. Would love have stopped the bullet if it hadn't come from a heart that had already turned cold?